30 minutes.
Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, unless something like crazy happened, he's definitely just bailing.
So
I had people ready, so
I'm gonna
that's
be
how it's
honest with
always gonna
you.
be.
I'll say this right now. I don't care if he's like just listening right now, backstage or anything like that. First Amender's disrespectful as fuck. He's disrespectful as shit. This whole I forgot shit, that's blatant disrespect. So to my chat, therefore I must disrespect the shit out of him professionally in this fucking debate. So if you guys thought it was blood now, I like the gloves coming off, everything else is coming off. No homo, by the way. I don't want you guys clipping this shit. I'm going to destroy this guy. No homo once again, because I know you guys.
No homo, no homo.
No homo and all that stuff.
Pause.
This guy has to be decimated. Like, you ever see the point in Terminator where Sarah Connor's holding onto the fence, and all you see is a skeleton because everything else is getting a wrist? This is what is going to happen. I now have to do this shit. I was just gonna say, hey, you know what? I was gonna show up, gloves. We're gonna have a good fight. No hit me, don't load the belt or any of this shit. No, all this shit's out the window, man. Disrespected the shit out of me. That's really what this is. I forgot is crazy disrespect. There's no way you could justify I forgot. 2 weeks notice. What is it, 2 weeks? 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was about, it was quite a while ago.
2 weeks, and this is me being charitable because I believe it was longer than that.
There he is. Alrighty.
Hey, how you doing? I apologize for being late. I neglected to put this on the calendar, and I got those notifications from Speakeasy, so my apologies. That's not my usual modus.
Well, I don't accept your apologies. I would rather get back to this. I'm not going to be fucking playing around here. All that is just cope. I want to get back to this debate, and let's get to it.
He's ready for it. All right.
The information shared in these conversations and videos are intended for general knowledge and entertainment purposes only. It should not be considered as legal advice or professional guidance. Additionally, any documentation or references to specific content are solely for the purpose of discussion and understanding. It does not imply endorsement, promotion, or support of said content. The views expressed in these videos and/or conversation are those of the individuals involved and do not represent any official stance or opinion. The content you are about to experience may contain strong language, including explicit words and phrases. This language is used for artistic expression and may be integral to the storyline or character development. It is important to note that the use of language does not endorse or promote offensive behavior. Viewer discretion is advised, and please enjoy the show responsibly. Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. The Canadian Copyright Act, Section 29, allows an individual to use copyright-protected materials when creating a new work, such as a mashup, and to post the new work online on a site like YouTube. Fair dealing provision for specific purposes like research, private study, education, parody, satire, criticism, review, and news report.
Welcome, everybody, to Swords of Reason right here on the Speakeasy Show. This is where logic meets passion. If you're new here, the format is simple. Each debater gets 10 minutes for opening statements, followed by a 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. Then we open the floor for a full hour of debate for back and forth before wrapping it up with a 5-minute closing statement from each side. After that, we'll spend about 30 minutes answering your questions from the chat. We'll have a little Q&A in the chat there for you. But super chats will get priority, and we only have a 30-minute window for this. So if you want to make sure you get your questions in answered, make sure you send it via super chat. And once the formal debate is done, we'll open the doors to the community. This is optional for the debaters. They don't have to stay for this part, but we'll open the doors to the community, and you guys can hop up and challenge or question anything you've heard tonight. Today's debate prompt is trans women are women. And let's meet today's debaters. We have, for the affirmative, we have the First Amender, who has a channel right here on YouTube. He focuses on politics, social issues, and debates. And also for the negative, we have Martae with also a YouTube channel here on YouTube. He's a former professional bodybuilder, and on the channel, he focuses on politics, religion, and hot topic discussions, and also debate reviews. So debaters, you know the rules. We're going to keep it sharp. First Amender, you're going to be first on the opening statements. So whenever you're ready, I'll start the time up with your voice. And thank you guys for both being here.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Let me know when I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah, I'll start the timer up with your voice. You can start whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about the statement of trans women are women, not as a slogan, but as something that we can understand logically and biologically. To do this correctly, we need to clarify two things people mix up all the time. It's sex and gender. What sex actually is people will say that sex is biological and binary, a male or female. However, in real biology, sex isn't just one thing. It's a mix of many traits. For example, you can have the chromosomes of XXXY, but you also have instances of XXY, XO, etc. You have hormone reproduction, you have reproductive organs, anatomy, secondary traits like body hair, fat distribution, breasts. These things don't always line up nicely. There are women, for example, with XY chromosomes with androgen insensitivity syndrome. There are men with extra X chromosomes. There are people who are born with ambiguous genitals or hormone levels that are outside of typical ranges. So sex itself is not a clean on-off switch. It's more of a cluster of traits that usually fall into male or female, but not always perfectly. What is gender? Gender is different. Gender is a person's internal sense of being male, female, both, neither, or something else. And it is the social role that goes with that. Nobody actually checks your chromosomes in everyday life to decide if you're a woman or a man. We go off presentation, behavior, identity, how someone lives, how they look. That's gender. So where does gender identity come from? Some say it's just a feeling, but there's a lot of solid research that suggests that gender identity has biological roots, especially in the brain. During development in the womb, hormones shape both the body and the brain. In trans women, some brain structures are closer to typical female patterns than male ones, even before hormone therapy. So this isn't just some random or made up thing. It's a real part of how some people develop. What happens during transition? We could talk, for example, endocrinology or the study of hormones. When a trans woman starts hormone therapy, testosterone is lowered. Estrogen is increased to typical female levels, and the body responds in the form of breast development. Fat moves to the hips, the thighs, the chest. Muscle mass drops. Skin gets softer. Body hair thins. Emotional processing and even brain chemistry change along with the hormone shifts. Medically speaking, their body is operating on a female hormonal system. Doctors literally use female reference ranges to track their health. Some may say, one of the most common arguments, but you cannot change chromosomes. Yes, chromosomes do not change. But here's the thing. Chromosomes alone have never defined who is or isn't a woman. Women with androgen insensitivity, for example, have XY chromosomes yet possess a vagina. We consider them as women. Men with Klinefelter syndrome, or XXY, are still men. Nobody runs a chromosome test to decide who enters the women's restroom or who gets the driver's license that says F. If we accept that women can have XY chromosomes clearly, womanhood isn't only about DNA. Medicine and law actually already recognize these factors. Major medical groups such as the Endocrine Society, the AMA, the APA, all treat trans women as women in healthcare. Legally, in most places, trans women can change their documents, get married, and are protected under women's rights laws. This isn't a niche concept. It is already how the systems function. So under a core logical argument, gender identity is real. It is deeply rooted part of human biology and psychology. A woman is someone who identifies and lives as a woman, whose body and hormones align to that. Trans women do exactly that. Their identity, their hormone systems, and social roles match of what we call woman by gender. Therefore, it follows logically. Trans women are women by gender. This is not just semantics. When society refuses to recognize trans women as women, it causes real harm. There's increases of higher depression, anxiety, and suicide rates. When we do recognize them, not only does it align with science, it literally saves lives. So no, it isn't about being politically correct. It's actually about being accurate. Biology isn't as simple as XX or XY. Hormones matter. The brain matters. Identity matters. Medicine, law, and logic already reflect that. So when we say that trans women are women, it's not people denying science, it's actually accepting it. And that's my intro. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that opening statement. And with that, we're going to hand the mic over to Martae for your 10-minute opening statement. And whenever you're ready, Martae, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
Well, this is funny. My opponent brings up the medical issues where they're accepted, which I actually don't accept that. And I also don't accept your definition as well, too. I'm just going to kick that down the road and we can deal with that later. So trans women are already women, right? He says, so why do we need hormones and surgery to become what they are? It implies that they aren't women biologically. You're going to have to tackle this paradox because it requires intervening it to approximate womanhood. So anyways, back to this. The assertion that trans women are women often hinges on equating gender identity with biological reality. Once again, this is reality. When he's saying that people acknowledge this, he can then say, well, no, this is what I need you to affirm with. And we're not talking about people being politically correct or anything like that, but actually, yes, we have to be because we have to conform with the reality. But this creates several paradoxes. First, it conflates subjective self-perception with objective observable traits like chromosomes and reproductive anatomy, which define biological sex in every other mammal. If womanhood is solely based on self-identification, it renders the term woman meaningless, as anyone with a claim can claim without consent criteria, eroding the ability to address sex-based protections or spaces. Secondly, it demands that others affirm this identity, clashing with free speech and thought, as it compels agreement with a subjective claim over objective reality. Finally, it creates a paradox. In practice, if trans women are indistinguishable from biological women, why do terms like trans or specific medical legal accommodations exist? We got to untangle this as well, too. These distinctions acknowledge differences that the ideological claims don't exist. Thus, while empathy for personal identity is valid, equating trans women to biological women collapses under scrutiny, undermining both clarity and fairness in social frameworks. As First Amender continues to type, looking up sources, possibly ChatGPT or Grok, during this, looking up everything that he can, you're going to need all the help you can. The science isn't settled on this. It's made up of poor studies. Kind of like he's not studying this and typing, which is fine. I don't really care about that because he showed up 30 minutes late to a debate, which tells me a lot about his belief system already. No reliable source, soft sciences is what he's going to rely on. What does this have to do with the trans woman being a woman? Literally nothing. Most of these men suffer from autogynephilia. And if you don't treat them like a woman, they'll become emotional hostage takers because I, as a Christian, have to lie to them. I refuse to affirm the lie as well as the majority of the working class in America. If you self-delete because I refuse to lie as a Christian, I'll take the objective truth of the matter every single time. My opponent's position will boil down to a categorical error. Category error. We'll say that too. Also, he'll say that if you can be tricked, it is true. That's all his debate's going to boil down to. It falls on my opponent to demonstrate that trans women are women, as he's shown on his own podcast. How can I fool the next person? Showing up slideshows. Oh, I fooled you again. That doesn't change objective reality and the truth of the matter, which we're going to keep going back to. And then he's going to call it circular logic, which is also going to be him using circular logic. And with that, I concede my time.
All right. Thank you for that opening statement, Martae. And with that, we'll get into the uninterrupted 5-minute rebuttals. And just a reminder for everyone in the chat, both debaters can be found in the chat. So make sure you guys go over to both debaters, give them a sub, show them some support for coming and giving you some entertainment tonight, okay? So with that, we're going to hand the mic back to First Amender for your 5-minute rebuttal uninterrupted. And whenever you're ready, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
It's a 5-minute rebuttal without interruption?
Yep.
Very well. Well, so I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding here where he's stating that trans women are indistinguishable from women. I wouldn't make that argument. Obviously, a trans woman is biologically born male, but has transitioned to female. When I'm saying trans women are women, I'm referring to trans women are women by gender. And just so you're aware, there's multiple fields of study that confirm the existence from gender, and it's not actually like a sociological basis. It exists at an endocrinological basis, a neurobiological basis, a psychological basis, as well as a sociological basis, an embryological basis. Existence of gender. But I wanted to see if I could show some specific information that I think is really important for people to understand, because this is more concrete than you would assume. Like a lot of people, they just think, hey, this is just a social science. It's just kind of nonsense. It's all semantics. I'm gonna flash something on the screen if I could. I need to share my screen. Can I do so right now?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, give me a moment. Sharing screen with 2 monitors. Okay. And then it's going to be this. Okay, can you see that?
Okay, now I do. Yeah, I'll bring that up.
You do see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to appreciate that. Thank you. Can you remove that VS there? This is important. Okay, so this is under sexual medicine, the neuroanatomy of the transgender identity, mega-analytic findings from the Enigma Transgender Persons Working Group. So in contrast to cisgendered persons, transgender persons identify with a different gender than the one assigned at birth. Although research on the underlying neurobiology of transgender persons has been accumulating over the years, neuroimaging studies in this relatively rare population are often based on very small samples, resulting in discrepant findings. So the aim is to examine the neurobiology of transgender people in a large sample. So the methods were using a mega-analytic approach. We used structural MRI data of 803 non-hormonally treated transgender men, transgender women, cisgendered men, and cisgendered women were analyzed. The outcomes showed that structural brain measures, including gray matter volume, cortical surface area, and cortical thickness. The results were that transgender persons differed significantly from cisgendered persons with respect to subcortical brain volumes and surface area, but not cortical thickness. Contracting the 4 groups, trans man, trans woman, cis man, and cis woman, we observed a variety of patterns that not only depended on the direction of gender identity towards male or towards female, but also the brain measure as well as the brain region examined. The outcomes of the conclusion was that rather than being merely shifted towards either end of the male or female spectrum, transgender persons seem to present their own unique brain phenotype. What I'm trying to exhibit to you is the existence of trans individuals It doesn't exist at like just purely a sociological level. How you feel internally of what makes you male or female, sometimes it severs itself from your external body features. And this has been known for quite some time now. I mean, I think we had started exhibiting differences in hormonal differences than what is typical externally as far back as the 1970s. You can actually observe the measurements right here. They're freely available for you to look. Again, this is not a a sociological argument. What I'm presenting to you is the existence of trans people as which can be observed at a subcortical volume area. It's not sociological. Now, is it possible to say that trans women are exactly like women? No, I don't agree with that. And the science shows that. But the question isn't, trans women are identical to biological women. I'm simply pointing out that there's a lot more social features that we observe that determines what is woman. You don't take your blood test. I got 10 seconds, so I'm going to cut it right there. Otherwise, I'll keep talking. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you for that. And we are going to give the mic back to Martae for a 5-minute uninterrupted rebuttal. So, Martae, whenever you're ready for yours, I'll start the timer up with your voice.
So his argument is that basically
you're muted on this side, Martae.
Hold on real quick. Can you hear me now? No?
You're muted in the StreamYard. On the StreamYard, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, perfect.
His argument is basically that these are men with female features. And that's what I've heard. That's all I've heard. I haven't really heard a good solid argument as far as like they're women. Like, because he says they're not exactly women. So I will say that, and I'll agree with his whole statement and his scientific data saying that, okay, because I feel like a woman, yes, I can say I feel like a woman. Anybody else can say that, right? And science can acknowledge all this they want, but to me, this really doesn't even make sense, and it doesn't change the truth of the matter if we get down to this. So just simply telling me that these are men with female features, like, literally just concedes the whole debate right there and doesn't really make any sense already. You can shake your head all you want right now, but this doesn't also make sense as well too. I present to you another paradox because your points aren't really solid points that I can contend with right now. This is just like, because it's just nonsense and delusion right now. So I will ask a question though, because there is a safeguarding paradox that this presents. Trans women, according to First Amendment, are women, so they access women's bathrooms and locker rooms, things like this. Yet 70 to 90% trans women have male genitalia, right? People that haven't transitioned. So I do have a question, because you've already admitted that these aren't exactly women. So I'm like, well, if they're not exactly women, they're not women, just women with male features. So back to this. I want to ask this question. So if people who are trans are using women's locker rooms and bathrooms, are you okay with 6-year-old girls in these bathrooms looking at men's dicks? I mean, you'd have to accept this because that's a woman by your own standards. So, and then here's the other thing too, is if these men are transitioning and in the process of transitioning, you'd have to say that they're just looking at women, right? There's no problem with that. So according to your logic, it should be okay for 6-year-old girls to look at men's dicks in the locker rooms because by your own standard, they're women. And I don't understand that either. I have other paradoxes that I'm going to bring up that really don't make any sense to me because socially, to me, we can even go to gender socially. This doesn't really make any sense. So either you're allowing PDF file stuff happening or not. Because to me, this also doesn't make any sense too, because there's also a prison paradox as well too. With this whole thing, when we have transformer women, I mean, they go to women's prison, just like Karen White's case, the trans woman insulting female inmates shows a high level risk and mitigated with nothing, just male strength, right? This prioritizes identity over safety rationale for sex segregation facilities. And I'm glad that Trump is your president because he recently reversed this. I know you're happy about Trump being your president. But back to this, the locker room. To me, I don't know how you can reconcile this, because if I'm to accept this as a Christian, I'm to also accept that you must lie to 6-year-old girls who are looking at men's dicks in locker rooms. Can you reconcile this for me? That's all I want to ask, and we can move forward. I can see my time on that.
All right. Thank you for that. And what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to get into the open hour for back and forth where the debaters can cross-examine each other. Just a reminder for the chat, at the end of this, after their closing statements, we're going to have a 30-minute Q&A. There's a Q&A in the chat. You can ask debaters questions there, but the super chats will get priority. So if you want to make sure it gets answered, I'd send it through super chat, okay? And again, I want to thank you both for showing up. You can find both the debaters in the description of this live, so make sure you go to both debaters, give them a sub, show them some support for showing up tonight. And with that, whoever wants to open up the open floor here, I'll start the timer with your voices. Just remember, try to keep the interjections minimal. If it gets too chaotic, I'll step in. But other than that, I'm going to let you guys debate the topic.
First Amendment, is it okay for 6-year-old girls to look at lady dicks?
No, I typically wouldn't suggest that anybody be just openly buck naked in any locker room. I mean, typically speaking, people keep their underwear on. No, not really. If people keep
to the men's bathroom,
typically speaking, yeah. So, hey, I'm answering your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is this going to be a blood sports or is this going to be like a discussion? I'm actually interested in making it a discussion.
Go ahead.
Listen, I typically do. Today I did not, because I did not put this on the calendar. My apologies. Can we move on? Is there any way that we can stay on topic and we try to have this as a discussion,
I'm waiting for you
not
to
as
start,
a blood sports?
Go ahead.
All right, cool. So no, typically in locker rooms, people aren't getting buck naked unless if you're like over 60 years old. Most people don't do this. You keep your underwear on, number one. Number two, I should point out to you that right now, trans women using locker rooms, it's not something that they do because of currently, as of right now, if they were to use the men's and they look feminine, they get clocked as being trans, which then results in assault. This happens quite often, more often than you think. There has been numerous instances of harm towards trans individuals using the locker room that they are assigned at birth. It also doesn't make any sense in the idea that trans women are pedophiles. The reason why that this doesn't actually make any sense, even if assuming the worst and that they were a pedophile, if they are taking hormone replacement therapy, they basically have no sex drive. By reducing testosterone and increasing your progesterone and estrogen, this fundamentally reduces your libido.
Okay.
This endocrinologically is the fact.
This is your second point.
I want to break this.
Let's get.
I want to hold on. I answered your question.
Right
now I have to ask you a question.
How long are you going to keep going, First Amendment? How long?
I answered your question. Now I'm going to ask you a question.
Well,
the question is simple. Do you acknowledge the difference between?
Hold on, you're not.
Do you acknowledge? Jesus, dude! I asked you. You asked me to answer a question. I'm now going to ask you a question.
Just let him finish, and then you can address his points and then answer his question. You know what I mean? Just let him.
So the question is simple. Do you acknowledge that there is a concept such as sex and gender? Do you think that those are two different things?
No, I reject that. But I do accept this as a social norm accepted by some people, the population, not the majority. Anybody can believe they're a reindeer, right? This happens often with people being in delusion. They can think they're whatever they are, right? It doesn't affirm that that's true. But go ahead.
So when I'm referring to gender, I refer to an internal sense of sex. Now, typically people who are cisgendered, they don't recognize this because their internal sense of their gender is the same as their external sense of their body. You said you're a bodybuilder, yes?
Correct. I am.
Okay. I want you to put into your head. Imagine you're 14 years old, you're just going through puberty, and for whatever reason, God has played a very cruel trick upon you and has given you gynecomastia, which means that instead of growing large chest, you are now growing breasts as a male. This sense, an internal sense of your sex, wouldn't match what is happening externally to your body. Would you acknowledge that?
No, what people do when they have this gynecomastia happen, they get it removed, and this isn't anything having to do
Why
with
are they
sex.
getting it removed?
So hold on. I didn't interrupt you your one time. So sit back and listen to me respond for once. So back to this, because we have to address your initial point that this doesn't happen. That's ridiculous. Right now in California, I could share my screen, but right now I'm sharing it right now with my other audience right now. A California woman says her gym membership was revoked because she objected to a man entering a woman's locker room. This just happened November 2nd. So when you say that this
being discriminatory, and don't you think businesses have a right?
I interrupt you one time.
That has to do with the Civil Rights Act.
My 30 minutes. Let me get into this real quick, and then you can respond accordingly.
I could tell you're going to be a fabulous person to talk to.
She was never punched at all during this whole procedure. So you fallaciously saying, no, they get hit and all this other stuff. In this
they do. They get assaulted all the time.
Show it didn't happen November 2nd. Can you show me where this is happening?
All you did was bring up a personal anecdote. I can give you statistics and research that show overall women get assaulted all the time. Just so you're aware, trans women, when they need to use a locker room, the answer is they don't use a locker room. They do it at home because of how much discrimination exists regarding that's 100% true. That's literally, talk to any trans person. That is the fact. They're living in an anti-trans world, and so what they do is that they avoid strife like this because they run into guys like you. That's the problem. So here's the thing, right? I want to go back into it. I just want to break it down. When a boy has gynecomastia and they want to remove the breasts that aren't supposed to be there, why are they removing it? It's an internal sense of the sex doesn't match with the external body. Do you agree? Do you understand? That's what that means. That's what that does.
I asked if you could demonstrate where this happens now in 2025. I'm still waiting for a demonstration.
Gynecomastia?
No, that's not what I asked. Where trans women don't go into women's bathrooms.
I'm saying that they avoid it.
Cool. Can you show me that they avoid this? Because obviously on November 2nd, I can show that, but can you show anything else that's a counter response to this?
Hold on.
Before we move on to your gynecomastia claims, can you at least address this?
I can. I mean, I can pull this up. Hold on.
I'm looking for abuse and harm.
Huh?
Physical harm and abuse. That's what I asked. Can you demonstrate that?
Yes, I can demonstrate that. Are you asking for that they're avoiding using the bathrooms, or are you asking for physical harm and abuse towards trans people?
You said this is something you stated. You said this. This is your claim, not mine.
Those are two claims. The claim. I'm asking, what do you want? What do you want the claim to? What do you want me to support
as the reason why they're avoiding this?
Okay, fine.
Concise for you?
Okay. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share this so you can see it for yourself. Are you able to just maximize that? Okay. So restricting equal access to public facilities is harmful and it doesn't work. Banning transgender people from using public facilities in alignment with their gender identity deprives them of the ability to participate in public life. Without the ability to use a public restroom, trans people are less able to live their lives and travel outside of their home. Trans employees need to be able to use the restroom at work and keep their jobs without risking their health and safety. Trans people also need to be able to access government buildings for basic tasks like voting or visiting the post office. Trans people cannot safely use the bathroom of the gender they were assigned at birth just because of the law requires them to. Trans people are routinely subjected to harassment and assault in bathrooms. 68% of trans people have been verbally harassed and 9% have been physically assaulted when using the public restroom in the past 12 months. And sadly, 8% of people have faced kidney or urinary tract infection from having to avoid restrooms for their safety. In addition to being discriminatory, bathroom bans are bad for our health. Offering separate private bathrooms is a great way to ensure anyone can feel comfortable when they go to the bathroom, whether or not that they're transgender. However, anyway, I hope that helps.
No. So let me restate my question. I'm not going to rephrase. I'm going to restate the same thing. In 2025, I didn't see a date. My question is, I asked you in 2025, is this happening currently?
So what? We're just going to hold on. Listen, I don't want this to be a gotcha. I want to have a legitimate conversation with you. Hold on. No, what you just did is a thing called a goalpost shifting. You didn't say anything about a year. You didn't say anything. And also, you're being very, very specific.
No, I asked you about the article. This is specific to the article that you just brought up.
This is regarding transgender people and bathroom access. Trans people are, in fact, being assaulted for using the public restroom, and it's
I said in 2025, I'll say this again, in 2025, where is this happening? That's what I asked.
I just gave an example how that happened.
Congruent. In 2025, is this congruent?
I don't know when this was written. I don't know when exactly this was written.
Oh, so why are we, so we can put up 2000 data and say currently right now?
That's not 2000 data.
This is crazy. Okay,
I mean, the copyright is of 2025. All rights reserved on the bottom.
See it. Can you bring it up so I can see
it? It's on the bottom. Like,
see, you're just making.
Anyway, I'm not making assertions. No, I do have it. I gave it to you. That's an example. There's multiple instances where there's trans women being physically assaulted. Please. Jesus Christ, what is with you people? I'm trying to have a legitimate conversation with you, and I want to actually. No. I know it to be the fact. I have done so much reading on this topic, right? And I gave you the information, right? There's more information that is available. There's a lot of instances where. Let me ask you this: have you read any book on endocrinology? Any book at all?
I'll ask you a question once again.
Stop. Have you read any book on endocrinology whatsoever? Have you read any book on endocrinology whatsoever? Answer the fucking question. Have you read any book on endocrinology whatsoever?
Listen, you fucking
Nope, we're going to try it one more time. No, you're the one. No, hold on. I've answered multiple of your questions. It's your turn to answer a question. I'm asking you this. Have you read anything regarding endocrinology whatsoever? I do. I sat there and I showed you the neurobiology of trans people. You completely removed that acknowledgement. And on top of the fact that I provide a study that shows very directly how trans people are being assaulted in bathrooms. That's not a stretch, by the way. Like, I don't even think you even need data to come to that conclusion. People are hyper aggressive towards trans people. You won't even acknowledge the existence of trans people. So God forbid if there's a trans person wanting to use the men's room and then you're going to sit there and walk past them and they like hell, you're going to tell me you're not going to verbally assault these people. I wanted to have a legitimate conversation with you, but rather than actually having a legitimate conversation, every single right winger just wants to turn this into like they just want to make it into just gotchas and like, oh, look at me, I'm like the new podcast bro. You're a fucking idiot, dude. You don't know anything regarding endocrinology. You don't know anything regarding the neurobiology. You don't know anything regarding the biology or the sociology or the psychology. You just watch podcasts.
One second, guys.
Fucking
just so
idiot.
The chat can hear what's going on here. Let's bring it back here. I hear Martae keeps trying to get a question off. Martae, why don't you just ask your question and see where we can go from there?
Look, I'm going to ask this for the last time because I don't think you have an answer for this, and I'm being good faith right now, asking you this, and you're calling me all kinds of idiots and shit. It's frustrating dealing with you right now because I just want a simple fucking answer. You're going off of biology and every other tangent except for what I'm engaging with, calling it goalpost moving. Once again, back to this goalpost that I never moved. I asked you in 2025, where is this happening?
I listed. I gave you.
For them to avoid the bathroom in 2025.
I gave you that. I provided that. I mean, if you want specifically,
I didn't see
like
a year.
2020. Okay, let's pull up one with a year then. If you
so
want one
that wasn't
specific
it.
with
You
a
just
year.
admitted that was fallacious. Oh shit! You know what? Let's move on.
What does it matter if it has a specific? What does it matter if it
like,
has a specific date? All you did was
pull
go.
up your
You asked
ChatGPT
me to
Google right now. This is
substantiate it.
fucking bad.
You asked me to substantiate it. I substantiate it, and then you said, "Is that 2025?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Maybe. What if it is? What if it isn't? Would it matter?" Let me ask you this:
matters a
if it
lot.
said, "Stop talking." If it said
matters if you ask
2020,
me a
stop
question, it matters a lot.
talking. Can I get a
Go
model?
ahead.
Like, what is this? 2025 specifically. If it said 2025, would you acknowledge the existence of trans people?
That's all I asked for. Yeah, you're going on this diatribe. You're refusing to answer the question.
If it said 20, you're literally doing that. You're avoiding answering the question. So I'm going to, one more time. If the article specifically stated 2025, then would you acknowledge the existence of trans people? Yes or no?
That's not what I asked. I didn't ask if I'd acknowledge the existence of trans people, you idiot. I'm asking you in 2025, where is this happening right now? The abuse that's causing them to avoid these bathrooms. That's all I asked. I don't care.
Yeah, again, there's multiple laws that have been passed that ban existence of trans people from being able to use the restroom, and assaults have picked up as a result of the anti-trans agenda that the Trump administration has been wanting to push. This isn't a secret. We have this information. I mean, if you want the specific statistics of assaults happening to trans women trying to use, or trans men for that matter, trying to use the restroom, even the biological one that they're assigned to, they're being assaulted. There's also cisgendered women that don't pass perfectly as a woman getting assaulted as well. So like there are cisgendered women getting assaulted as a result of the anti-trans positions. So but this is beside the point, right? I wanted to get back onto what the topic is. The topic is, are trans women women? But you can't even acknowledge.
Just let him finish, Martae.
You can't even acknowledge whether or not that whether or not that gender and sex are separate things, even though you're able to understand a concept like gynecomastia. Let me ask you this: why do you like getting big and strong?
Why do I like getting big and strong? Because I like winning competitions. That's why I like getting big and strong.
You don't like looking good?
I could care less about aesthetics. I'm a Christian. I don't care about materialism, all the other stuff.
Okay, well, fine. So maybe not you. So maybe not you.
Who cares?
But that's
about
fine.
That? I just want to win, bro.
Are there people that they like to look? They go to the gym to look good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so men, they typically, what they like to do is they like to get big muscles, right? Because big, strong men get big muscles, right?
Yeah, so what?
That's affirming their gender identity.
No, that's not affirming their gender identity.
Yeah, it's an internal sense of your sex.
No.
And you decide,
hold on.
I want to go to the gym to exemplify that maleness, and so they lift weights to look bigger. That's what they do.
No.
This is also the case for women. However, some people, what is happening inside their brain doesn't actually match what is happening in their external genitalia. And there are multiple instances of hormonal differences in the brain, and this is pre-HRT, mind you, where they can exhibit a different sense of their sex internally. And this has also been able to be exhibited at a neurobiological level.
No, that's completely fallacious right now, because then I'll tell you why.
What? No. Wait, no.
Let Martae answer. Wait, let Martae answer. Let Martae answer.
I swear to God, all of these debate bros are the same. They can't have a discussion.
Just let him answer. Just let him answer.
Yeah, go ahead, First Amendment. Walk off while I go ahead and just rebuttal your whole fucking bullshit right now. Anyways, back to this. The reason why people want to go ahead and work out is because they're competitive by nature. We're competing as a species.
Yes,
And
because of
we're
testosterone.
talking about a
Yes.
taxonomical classification of men. When we do this, we are competing. That's the number one reason why. When you ask guys, it isn't because I want to be more like a guy. Nobody fucking says this. Who the fuck says I'm training to look more like a guy? Nobody has ever fucking said this once. Matter of fact, if I've been a pro bodybuilder for a very long time, and I'm still active as a bodybuilder, I can definitely tell you, if you can point to me any direction where anybody says I'm bodybuilding to look more like a guy, I've never fucking heard this. That's really weird. People bodybuild because they want to look better, to grab the chicks, get people, be competitive in this dating arena, or be competitive on stage. It's all about mostly competition. They're not bodybuilding to transition from like nobody bodybuilds a transition from.
They're not transitioning.
This is stupid.
Their sex matches their gender, so they have no need to transition. However, they
they're
are
adding
affirming
muscle on top
their
of the
gender
girls now?
identity by adding muscle as a male. That's how that works. I'm just trying to exhibit, I'm trying to tell you how there is an internal sense of your sex, and it can separate from the external genitalia. And that can be exhibited at an endocrinological level, a neurobiological level, an embryological level. Did you know, for example, there exist babies who will be, or embryos that are XY chromosomes, but because they do not synthesize testosterone the same as other people, they grow a vagina. If you think that their
What
internal
does that have to do with
brain,
transitioning?
well, I'm giving an example, right? Because what's happening internally in their brain feels different than what is happening externally, and because of the difference in the chemical makeup in the brain, they feel like their inside isn't matching their outside, and it can be exhibited in all sorts of ways. You have, for example, rough and tumble play versus social play. Girls tend to do social play, whereas boys tend to do rough and tumble.
Yeah, so what?
You probably recall that there have been times where the girl does the rough and tumble play, and maybe just one of the boys just happened to be a little bit like to hang out with the girls a lot more than hanging out with the boys, right? Wouldn't you acknowledge that exists?
Yeah, I can copy behavior. It doesn't make me the thing. So back to this.
No. It has a basis in biology. It's not just copying behavior.
Crazy. So back to this. Do I make additions onto my car to make it look more like a car? Where can I see this? Anywhere else? Can I see somebody?
We're not talking about cars. We're talking about humans.
More like a plane?
I don't know anything about cars. We're not talking about cars.
I didn't interrupt you the whole fucking time.
Cars aren't humans, though. Cars aren't humans. This isn't analogous.
Anywhere fucking else?
Yeah, but cars aren't humans.
Where anybody else is adding on to
cars aren't humans. Cars aren't conscious. Cars aren't conscious.
Can you answer the question?
You didn't even ask a question, numbnuts.
I asked you because you were talking. If you would shut the fuck up and listen,
don't compare human beings to cars.
Can you answer the fucking question? Do you see this anywhere else in nature or society where people are adding onto the thing like a car to make it look more like a car, to make it look more like it already is?
So first of all, your question is ridiculous. We don't.
Cars
aren't biological, but yes, we do exhibit instances of hormonal differences that do in fact change behavior fundamentally. This has been exhibited not only in rats but as well as rhesus macaques. There's numerous mammals that can exhibit this. So one example is the. What did you ask then? You said, has this happened in animals? Yes. The answer is yes.
So people are adding on features on animals to make it look more like the animal?
No. You can have differences
in chemical. So you didn't answer the fucking question. I need you to listen.
I just want you to understand. It's differences in internal chemical makeup that result in different behavioral differences.
Answer the question.
I
am
answering your question as best as I can.
Sense? Yes. Where?
Well, for example, rats. There's instances of hormonal organization and sexual behavior among rats that also can be exhibited among rhesus macaques. So a good example of this is that they've been able to exhibit, for example, it's kind of hard to explain without me having it here. I'll try to show it over my camera. Maybe it'll help.
Can you please reconcile this for me? I need you to tell me how they're making rats look more like rats.
No, I'm not.
That's what I asked.
How making rats look more like
because
rats?
that's what you're answering. That's what I asked you.
Okay. So, all right. So to break it down, imagine, for example, that you have a rat that has different types of behaviors. So there's feminizing behavior and masculinizing behavior. A masculinizing behavior for a rat would be a mounting behavior regarding mating. And a feminizing behavior of a rat would be something like lordosis. Lordosis is a factor of lifting up the tail to be mounted. So if you actually look at the uterus of rats, you'll find right here, you can exhibit that there is a line convention of a blood path, and you'll have a bunch of little rats along the sides. You see these little beans here? So what happens is, if you have, for example, along this blood line, if you have, say, for example, female, 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 and then a male, then what happens is that male actually receives more female hormones because of the line of females that existed before it. As a result, this male rat exhibits behaviors of lordosis. And so, yes, we can exhibit instances of gender among rats.
I'm being patient right now. I'm really trying right now. You're really pushing it right now. Can you at least answer my question? Because none of that fucking answers my question.
You asked if it happens in animals.
What are they doing to the rats to look more like rats?
This is nothing. You're not understanding how gender is separate from sex.
Can you just at least answer the question so I can get to the next question, because this is tangential?
I never made a claim that rats look more like rats. I'm referring to how rats can exhibit behaviors typical of male or female, and depending on hormonal structure in the brain, results in the rat's behavior changing. And this is also true among humans.
What are they doing to rats to make them look more like male rats?
Not look like, behave like. They still look like female or male rats.
You're going to, because here's the thing though, I've heard this in previous debates with you. How do we judge a female by looking like a female? Like, to me, that's what I'm addressing now.
Yeah, well, typically you observe the genitalia to determine whether or not they're male or female. The point that I'm trying to tell you is that there are male typical behaviors among rats,
so you're not
and female typical behaviors among rats. Well, because you're not addressing what I'm trying to tell you. I'm trying to show you that gender is different from sex. This exhibits itself not just among humans, but can be also exhibited across multiple mammal species.
Right now.
This is also prevalent among rhesus macaques, by the way.
So for appearances, can you tell me how it changes their appearance to look more like male rats? That's all I'm asking.
It has nothing to do with the appearance. It has to do with the behavior. It's referring to the behavior. I didn't say anything about appearance.
I'm asking about appearance. I'm asking.
Okay, well, then asking about appearance isn't really answering what I'm trying to show you.
So we don't go by their appearances at all, right? As far as
we're looking at
appearances, right?
We're observing that there are, like, wouldn't you agree that is lordosis a female typical behavior?
No, let's get back. Okay.
Is lordosis a female typical behavior?
I asked you a question. So we're not going to use
Is lordosis a female typical behavior?
Being a woman, we're not going to use appearance.
Is lordosis a female typical behavior among rats?
You're talking about behavior. Can we get past the eyeballs?
Oh my God, dude.
So you're willing to throw this out? Can you?
Because you're talking about, yeah, we do that all the time.
Then you see how
I'm
this
saying
is tangential?
an internal sense
please?
of, because I'm referring to the gender, which is the internal sense of the sex. Do you understand?
I'm asking you about appearances. We can move past this if you can answer the question. I'll move past this because right now you're failing to answer a second question that I've asked you.
What you've asked the question, but it's like a nonsensical question. I'm trying to explain to you how gender is separate from sex, and then understanding how hormone differences can result in different behaviors. And since we can observe that from an animal position, that is also true among males and females for humans. There is an internal sense of your sex. Sometimes it doesn't match what happens externally. This has been discovered and exhibited since, I would say, since the 1960s. We've seen these hormones. This has existed for a long time now.
First Amendment, you're all over the place because I asked you one question. You're going to behaviors. Right now, I'm just talking about appearances because the problem with your whole argument is you want me to affirm with my eyeballs, but then when I use a functional equivalent to where we could see an example anywhere else where I don't think that rats can be delusional. I don't think that they have this ultimate sense of self to where they're like, oh, I don't feel like this, and we're doing this to them, or we're doing this to any other species to magnify the fact that, oh, it's a male. We're going to affirm this to be a female or anything like this. We don't see
so you don't actually,
hence this
you don't have to do anything
right now.
You don't have to do anything to the rat. What happens is that you have the uterine vein that will along the chain have multiple females, which would increase the amount of estrogen and lack testosterone along that vein, which results in the male rat possessing more of female behaviors as they grow up. But
that doesn't answer my question, but I'm willing to move past this. This is bullshit. Like, are you trolling right now? Because this is crazy. Because I'm honestly
being entirely me bringing up studies and now it. So hold on. Let's say, for example, I mean, we can talk about the appearance thing. I think I know where you're getting at. We'll go through it if you like.
No, we can move past it because I'm tired. We only got 30 minutes. I might as well wreck you on your other points. But anyways, back to this.
What?
I have another question right now.
Hold on.
Right now, let's
for
get
starters,
back to this real quick.
I'm not interested in ooh, I'm going to own you in this argument. Is that really your mentality that you want to own somebody in an argument?
Right now, you refuse to answer two questions.
It's very clear to me that you're just looking to get dunk a win, and I'm sitting here trying to give you some basic information regarding endocrinology. This is why I asked you earlier, have you read anything in endocrinology whatsoever? What do you know about trans people outside of podcasts? Have you read any books on this topic?
I don't have. There's audiobooks.
Oh, holy shit!
There's.
Wait, that's a book. What books have you read?
Researchers.
Wait, that's a book. An audiobook is a book. What did you read?
The podcast.
An audiobook is a book. What did you read?
So I'm not going to pull this shit up right now. Just like we did.
Just tell me. I'm curious.
This is ironic. You want me to?
I said I didn't have a date. That's fine. I could say I don't have a date. I didn't have a date. I don't have a date.
No,
that's fine.
I asked you for a date, and you were like, "No, it's."
I don't have a date. I said, "Hey, on the published article, it doesn't have a date."
Before, but you literally lied to me during this whole this debate.
What lie? I just told you, "Hey, I don't have a date."
It's the lie that you told me, and I'm going to call your bullshit out right now. I asked you.
What the fuck are you? I'm not here trying to lie to you or to trick you or to try to show you all I'm trying to exhibit is that I got to tell you, man, out of all of the discussions that I've had regarding trans people, I got to tell you, when it comes to right wingers, they understand actually zero about the topic. What they do is that they just listen to podcasts and then they parrot the same thing over and over, saying trans women aren't real women. Like I can literally just have like a.
We're getting a little off topic, like whether he read a book or what right wingers say. We're getting a little off topic.
What's important to me is like, okay, if you're actually interested in understanding trans people and what it is, I would recommend to pick up an actual book, an endocrinology, or a book that actually explains what are the differences between men and women at a chemical level. And it can be exhibited. That's why multiple fields of study are able to confirm the existence of trans people, all from separate studies. So, but you won't even acknowledge the very basic fact that gender is different from sex. And when I'm referring to gender, the predicate is that it is an internal sense of sex that is often dictated by the way that the brain forms at an embryological level. That's what that is. Do you understand?
I heard this and I understand this. You're saying that the way that the brain forms when it comes to the endocrine system, I heard all that right now, even though you didn't answer the 2 previous questions that I asked. I'm willing to be generous and even debate with you on this too. The problem with this is the 2 paradoxes that I presented, you were never able to reconcile. But moving past this,
what paradox?
The paradox of 6-year-olds looking at dicks, right? I even asked
I did answer that right away. I said no. Wear your underwear.
When we went to, yeah, you said this, but
you remember where I said no? Wear your underwear. Okay,
in the
cool.
showers,
so you know that I answered that question.
Wear underwear?
What?
That's crazy.
Who is
crazy.
taking off their listen? Just use the shower. You use a towel. This isn't hard. Just be polite.
I don't want to.
This isn't a difficult concept. And just FYI, trans women aren't assaulting women in the women's locker room or women's bathrooms.
No,
trans women. It is overwhelmingly, even by a per capita basis, it is overwhelmingly cisgendered men. It is not trans women doing it. And that actually makes sense considering the fact that their testosterone is basically zilch. They have no sex drive. Their dick doesn't even work anymore.
Anyways.
Who are they sexually assaulting?
Oh, okay. So a 6-year-old can see a dick that doesn't work and that's not sexually assaulting anybody visually?
I never said that. I never said that. Never at any point did I ever imply that.
Their dick doesn't
I didn't even
work.
imply. What is wrong, you people? Holy shit.
I just asked you the gym question and then you just told me their dick doesn't work.
I answered it. Don't show your dick to people. What? It's a locker room. Unless if you're over, I think the only people that actually get completely naked are people who are in their 60s at the gym. It's ridiculous. Nobody does this.
I'm willing to move past this because we don't have much time.
Yeah, I answered the fucking question. And so I want you to address the endocrinological responses to the brain. I could show how the endocrinological responses affect the brain. I've been able to exhibit that. I can confirm that. That is very easy. You saw it yourself. It is observable. We know it's a thing. We know gender is different from sex. This exhibits itself not as a sociological level. So knowing that we know that sex is different from gender, do you acknowledge, based on the numerous fields of science, neurobiology, endocrinology, embryology, sociology, psychology, listen, all of those fields acknowledge the difference between, all of those acknowledge the difference between gender and sex. So knowing that all of those fields of study acknowledge the difference between gender and sex, would you say that you agree that gender is different from sex? Yes?
No, I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to.
Why? That's 5 separate fields of study.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm not going to go over your 5 separate.
Are all of the scientists wrong?
One document that was recent that I did, for, which is extremely.
Did.
2025 was never on that, and then you asserted it was.
It doesn't matter. You were asking specifically about assaults. I'm talking about 5 different fields of study able to confirm the existence of trans. There are 5 different studies, 5 different fields of science able to confirm the existence of trans people and how gender is different from sex. You will not acknowledge the difference between gender and sex.
I think Martae's just saying he doesn't accept the studies. I think it's
no, it's not accepting. Listen,
no, I don't accept
speakeasy.
I reject
speakeasy. The problem isn't that not only does he not accept the fields of study, he doesn't accept those 5 separate science. Those aren't soft sciences. Is neurochemistry a soft science?
So the reason why it's soft
No, stop. Is neurochemistry a soft science?
No,
please teach me.
It's a soft science.
All right, is neurobiology a soft science?
This when it comes to this, which
is neurobiology a soft science?
No.
Hey, is neurobiology a soft science? Answer the fucking question.
All right.
Is neurobiology a soft science?
Let him answer.
I guess I can't even talk yet. So you can have soft sciences woven in between hard sciences.
Holy shit, he can't answer the question.
Is this true?
He won't answer the question. Is neurobiology a soft science?
It's not a soft science, but you have soft sciences woven throughout this. Is psychology
is neurobiology a soft science?
Is psychology woven through other hard sciences?
Why can't you answer the question? Are you brain rotted?
Wait,
Hey, one more time. The question is:
Speaking,
this is a
I don't
yes
like
or
the
no
question.
question. The answer is
crazy.
yes or no. You don't need to answer the
I just
question with
answered
another
the question.
question or make some other non sequitur fucking statement. Answer the question. Is neurobiology a soft
Okay,
science?
First Amendment, hold up. He
Jesus.
did say, I don't, maybe you didn't hear it, but he did say no. I heard him say no just now, so I just want to say.
He said no?
Yeah, I heard that, and then he said
Fabulous.
that there was
Great,
soft
great.
sciences through
Well,
it. Just
awesome.
But you got to let him finish his
Awesome.
answer,
Yeah,
right? Like let him follow up
I'm not
with
even
his
allowed
answer.
to talk.
Great,
Okay,
fabulous.
He's just,
So if neurobiology is if
Well, let him
neurobiology is not
let him give you his answer and then answer that, all right? Just so you hear his full answer, because he did say no at the starting and then followed it up. I think that's fair.
So I'm going to answer this right now. So when you have a hard science, as you just stated, there are soft sciences woven throughout this. So since I answered this, that is your answer. Can you say that
Okay.
this isn't true?
No, I don't agree with that. I think
So
that you
psychology
have
isn't woven
different.
throughout this.
Well, so you do. Of course, psychology is involved
okay.
in it.
Fuck. Oh,
But
God.
with that being
it's like
said,
pulling
it's
teeth
like
out of
you
you.
have separate
This
fields.
is crazy. This is like
Let him follow up. Let him follow up, Martae. Let him follow
You're
up.
talking about you have separate fields of science that are able to observe these things with their own separate fields of study, their own forms of study. Both soft and hard sciences were able to observe interesting differences. And like, for example, I was able to show you how there are portions of the brain that are physically shaped different for trans people. A majority of self-affirming trans people exhibit these specific formations in the brain. It can be exhibited. So isn't that interesting? Like
I'll even
that's what
concede
I'm
that.
saying.
You know
Like,
what? I'll even
that
concede it.
means
Fuck it. I'll concede
that
it.
means that it has that the transness or an internal sense of your gender for sure has a biological component. And that kind of makes sense in the sense that you have individuals, for example, may feel more manly or less manly despite being born a man, or women that feel more manly or less manly despite being a woman, right? There are so many factors that goes into this, and it is a bimodal distribution. And when it comes to trans individuals, when we measure brain regions in their brain, we're able to observe the biological
I'll even
differences.
concede this.
Okay,
I'll even concede this.
So we know sex is separate from gender. We know
How
this
long are you gonna go
for a
bro?
fact. Well, I just want you to acknowledge the very basic thing.
What did
Gender is different from sex.
Give a concept? Did I just concede this? Like, this is insane.
No, I'm saying
Look, this
no.
is what I have to
Did
deal
you?
with.
So
This is
wait,
crazy.
do you concede?
So,
do you concede that gender is separate from
that
sex?
Point. I can even concede that to move forward with this. I just want to ask you a question. Can a biological woman be a trans woman?
Can a biological woman be a trans woman? No.
Why is that?
Because they are born woman. And so to transition or to be the opposite sex of your gender, you would have to be a trans man. If they felt like a woman internally, they would just be a cis woman.
Oh, so a woman that's already a woman can't reaffirm this even more? That's crazy.
You can by you wait.
Right,
you can.
This is
in fact, wait. Hold on. Women do that all the time. There are biological women that get breast augmentation. There are biological women that get nose jobs. There are biological women that get liposuction around their belly. There are biological women that get hormone changes in order to look more female. That happens.
Can you tell me how? So all of this is just competitive dating and market and all this other stuff. I've never once heard a woman, once again, like my bodybuilding analogy, say, I want to do this so that way I can just be more woman. I mean, I've heard this to some degree, but overall, I would say, you know what? I'll even fucking concede that too. But the problem with this is that this only works one way. Right? This is all just feelings based. That's it. So even if I concede your endocrinology and all the science with this, which by the way, wasn't even a fact. You lied about the 2025. But back to this, even if I do concede all this, your whole debate just boils down to if he can trick me, then we're good. And if I can be tricked, here's the problem with this. If Speakeasy has a body double and fucks a trans woman, are they still heterosexual?
There's so much to like. It's like you're like fractally wrong here. You're like wrong on all.
No,
this even your question is nonsensical.
Even with
your question is not
appeared socially.
Okay,
so if you're body double,
I don't know what. Listen, I don't know what Speakeasy's. I don't know what Speakeasy's sex identity is, nor do I know what Speakeasy is into in the bed. Right. I wouldn't dislike him if he said, I don't want to have sex with a trans woman because they have a penis. Yeah, fair enough. I don't blame you. That's fine. Right. But all I'm trying to share with you is, since you've acknowledged that gender is different from sex, is it possible that the gender can be separated from sex?
Can you answer my question? You said I don't want to know. I don't care. Can you engage in the hypothetical?
I engaged in Speakeasy's hypothetical. Was there a second?
No, you didn't give me an answer. I asked, is he
I did. I said it's his choice. It's his. Well, there's no binary when it comes to being gay or not. It's a spectrum. Yes, being gay is a spectrum.
According to him, okay,
you're trying to make it a binary. It's not binary.
Do you identify as a heterosexual person, which is one certain thing? We're not going to go off a spectrum just by a certain thing. Or do you identify as heterosexual?
Yeah, I have a wife. Yes.
Okay. He has a wife.
Well,
Speakeasy's body double doppelganger.
Well, let me give you an example, right? How it's
trans woman. Is he still hetero?
Listen, I'll give you an example on how it's. Well, I don't know. That's a complicated question. There's a lot to that, and I'll give you an example of where it's like kind of in the air, where it's not black and white. Right? So take, for example, you have, let's say, his speaking, and I apologize, Speakeasy. I'm going to use you as a cudgel here, so I apologize ahead of schedule. This is going to seem a little blunt. Let's say, for example, that Speakeasy requests their wife, can you wear a strap on? And I want you to use the strap on me. If that were the case, like, you ask the question, hey, is this gay? Well, it's a heterosexual woman and a heterosexual man. So some may say it's not gay, but you got a dick in your butt. It's a rubber dick in your butt. And so it's gay. But here's the thing. You're going to have people that are going to agree and disagree as to whether or not that this is gay. This is a really good indicator that it's more spectrumatic than you think. It's not just a standard black and white. So the question that is it homosexual to have sex with a trans woman? I don't know. Does the trans woman have bottom surgery? If
the trans woman doesn't, is
that a deal breaker for some men? Probably, but maybe to some others it's not. I mean, I don't know. If they pass really well, hetero. It probably is straight sex.
He's hetero.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It's not a black and white answer. Does that answer your question?
He's not a spectrum. He's not on a spectrum or anything else.
It is. Everybody's on a spectrum.
Hold on? I didn't interrupt you during your whole dumbass diatribe. Back to this. His doppelganger is heterosexual, not a spectrum. Anything else? Speakeasy's body double bangs another trans person who didn't have bottom surgery. Are they still hetero?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you there.
All right, fine. I'll move forward with this. This is fucking crazy. Unreal. All right. Oh, man.
You acknowledge that gender is separate from sex. So it is possible for someone's gender to be different. Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You said that. Okay, I'll concede that.
I conceded the endocrinology
for the sake of argument, right?
Yes, all day long. I didn't acknowledge that at all. Nor did I even agree to that. That's crazy. I reject that.
Well, I mean, the problem is that regardless, no matter how much you talk, no matter how much you listen to podcasts, no matter how much that you want to deny the existence of trans people and that gender is separate from sex, the science is moving forward with this. The endocrinology is moving forward. The neurobiology, the embryology, the biology, all of it is moving forward with this, with or without you. It doesn't care whether or not that you're willing to acknowledge it. I simply ask you, spend the time to actually read about the topic instead of watching some podcast and repeating the same
You
old
keep asserting
tired
that I'm looking at
tropes.
podcasts
I've
when I don't look
observed-
at podcasts all the time.
Or
get
I don't
more
know
than
where
this.
you, then
just
where you
making
I don't
empty
know where you're
assertions.
getting your
Can you
information, but this
actually
is the
answer
same
a
stuff
fucking
that
question
comes out of
and you said make
podcasts.
empty assertions. Can you do more than just
Okay.
empty assertions? Because according to you, this podcast.
Yeah. I
answer
provided
questions where you
studies that
can't.
shows the neurobiological findings of trans people being separate from that of their cisgendered counterparts. That empirically shows the existence of trans people. And by the way, this is only one study, a mega analytic
you literally
finding.
just
There are in
demonstrated that-
fact
no, this- you can't
many,
even demonstrate
many
that there's no
other
distinction.
studies that shows the existence of trans people exhibiting itself at a very chemical level, not a social level. It can be exhibited in someone's literal brain chemistry from as early as a fetus. This can be observed.
So I asked you a question. I'm just going to do this one last time because you refuse to engage in hypotheticals that you say that you engage in. So Speakeasy's doppelganger, pretty gross, by the way, is banging somebody who didn't have bottom surgery. They both neurologically think that this is a woman. Is he still heterosexual socially? Because if gender and sex are the same,
complicated question.
If gender and sex are the same, no, you should have the answer.
Gender and sex are not the same. They're not the same.
If they aren't the same, fine. If they aren't the same, is he still heterosexual?
I've told you I don't know. I don't know what, like,
Okay,
ramming the same question in my face.
You don't know some shit again. Okay, cool. Let's move forward with this. This is fucking crazy. So right now, you've already said that in prison, this doesn't happen. This has happened all the time. I've already brought up Karen White. This has happened assaulting female inmates, and then you said it doesn't happen. It's wild shit. This happened at Gold's Gym when it comes to people entering that. Regarding
prison, like my position is very simple. It's I agree with least harm possible, right? Just because somebody identifies, say, as a woman doesn't mean that they automatically go to the women's space. I go, okay, well, what level are we talking about for this? Prison? Is this going to result in more assaults to the women or the person that's going through it? I don't know. I think that comes down to you have to come to a clear and sensible judgment as to whether or not they go to the male or female prison. So it will be a case-by-case basis to reduce overall harm. I'm a harm reduction kind of person. I want to see that society has less harm in it, not more. And so if you have a trans person that's going to prison, and let's say, for example, let's assume sexual assault, right, towards women. What? No, I'm.
You haven't demonstrated this, but hold
on. This isn't a proof. I'm just giving an example what I believe, right? I'm just telling you what I believe. Okay, that's not. I don't need proof to say, hey, this is what I think. Like, this is what I think should happen. Right now, that's not the case. Right? What happens is whatever is legally in your birth certificate, that's the prison you go to. I just think that there's a lot of sexual assault specifically towards trans women if they do end up in a male prison. And it's like in a situation like that where, like, their dick can't even work, they probably should be in the female prison to avoid sexual assault or vice versa. Like, I believe that. I think it would result in less harm.
So, since we're on harm right now, I am a Orthodox Christian catechumen right now. So if I see somebody who is obviously a guy, they look like a guy, I can tell them that they're a guy, but I am supposed to lie to this person, which harms me as a Christian. I feel very hurt because I have to lie to affirm their agenda. Mm-hmm. How does this not harm me in my belief system?
So their sex never changes. I'm not arguing that the sex at any point changes.
No, I'm talking about their
if they're
gender
referring to gender. Well, no, you're saying that it's a lie, but it's not a lie if you're referring to gender.
So
we're just talking about gender. The sex never changes.
Is it true? Is it true in society that I can see really guy-looking guys wearing a dress in a tutu, and me blatantly knowing that I can tell that this is a guy? Does that exist in society?
Sure.
Okay, so if this guy wants me to call him a woman, and I, as an Orthodox Christian catechumen, tell him, nah, bro, and the person gets really hurt and upset, but I would be hurt and upset. How does this not harm me? Because now I have to go against Christian orthodoxy to affirm this guy's obvious lie that he's telling me.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, like, I think Jesus himself had said, he who is without sin cast the first stone. If you're talking about wanting to not affirm, someone's gender identity, I'm not saying that there should be laws against people for affirming a gender identity.
Would it be a sin to
but
lie?
there's a, huh?
Would it be a sin to lie?
But you're not lying. You're referring to gender, not sex.
No,
It's not a lie.
No, hold on. Let's backtrack. You've literally told me, and you conceded this by admitting. You said, "Are there people?" And I asked you, "Are there people who are obviously men that we can tell are men wearing tutus
They
and
look
wigs?"
like
You
a
said, yes.
man.
One of
Yeah.
these people we
Uh-huh.
obviously know, according to me and my perception, I know this person's lying.
Yes.
Is that? Are you
No,
telling us?
but they're
to
not
sin?
lying. It's just referring to the difference of gender and sex.
How are they not
If you
lying?
acknowledge the existence of gender being separate from sex, then you could just give them the she her pronouns, and then that's it. It's not you're not lying to them.
Oh, so this
you're
is just be nice?
You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their internal body chemistry is. You don't know. Well, yeah,
What?
it's one factor. One factor is being nice. The other is
So you want me to be nice and lie to these people? That's your position.
you're not lying by acknowledging endocrinological differences. Are you a person?
No,
I'm talking to you.
You just, so in this debate, you literally told me we can't go by the eyeballs, and then you go back to saying, yes, we have to go by how they look. Previously in this debate, you can rewind the tape and footage. Now you want me to jump back. See, this is the problem with your worldview. You want to move it from goalpost to goalpost, and you tell me I moved the goalpost.
You're
Right
the one
back
that
to
moved
this,
the
I can
goalpost regarding the
objectively see this.
year after I substantiated what you requested.
No, objective reality. I'm looking at this and I know it's a lie in my belief system, and I know that I'm lying to them, even though they believe their belief system, they believe they're a woman, and I see hair, I see stubble, deep voice, and they haven't done any transitioning. They have a wig and a tutu on. I know that they're lying, and I believe that they're lying. How is this not a sin according to me?
You're not lying by acknowledging gender. It's not a sin because you're not lying. It's referring to gender, not sex. The sex never changes.
So if they say that they're a man,
If you're really, and honestly, if you're really that uncomfortable, like you really do not want to call them she, her pronouns,
I'm
fine, call them, they, them.
Sin.
It's not,
Yes,
that
you're
is not a
right.
lie
I'm
to call them they, them.
sins.
Is
Yeah.
it a lie? Let me ask you this.
Dude,
Is it a lie to call it?
Lied. So I mean,
Is it a lie? Is it a lie to call it they, them?
You should ask for repentance for lying earlier in this debate. But anyway,
Oh,
back
geez,
to this.
I'm an atheist.
So-
I don't believe in your magic sky daddy. It's
Cool.
stupid.
Cool.
Anyway,
I'll
so
do it
going
for you.
back
I'll
to
pray-
it,
I'll pray
yeah, I
for
don't
you
believe
against your
in
will. How
the
about that?
nonsense. Like, dude, your literal Bible will sit there and tell you that you should rape a female virgin and pay the father 50 shekels of silver. Apologies if I don't use the fucking 2,000-year-old freaking text
So right
that
now
nobody
you're
should
violating
follow.
TOS at the cost
Jesus
of this.
Christ.
That's like all these
I'm
sins.
not
Even-
violating
even among
TOS.
Jews.
What a freaking cry bully.
Even
As soon
even
as I
amongst
push
Jews,
back
you're
even
not
a
being
tiny,
good faith right now
says the
in
most
this channel
transphobic
right now.
shit the entire time. And then as soon as I give him the tiniest push against his own theology, he goes, oh, what did
No,
you
no,
violated
what I'm doing is
TOS?
respecting
Guys,
Speakeasy
ban
channel.
him. Get rid of him. You're
What
a
I'm doing is I'm
baby,
actually
dude.
being respectful.
How
of
are
the
you
channel, like
that strong? You're respectful? Do you really think you're a
I'm the most
respectful
respectful
individual?
in this debate out of both of us. What are you talking
Bro,
about?
dude. I got news
You
for
lied.
you. You are
You showed
hands
30
down
minutes
one
late.
of
So back to this.
the
Can we bring it
worst,
back to the debate?
one of the meanest
Okay. back to the
arguers.
debate.
Very bad faith. Not interested in
I'm
addressing
mean
the
because I wanna
endocrinological
block.
findings.
That's crazy.
Not interested in the neurobiological findings.
I
Not
can
interested
see
in
it.
the fact that I can bring up.
And so
For
you
the
have
sake
to
of
be one
argument, but then when I
crazy
brought
like
that up,
David.
you said,
I
"Oh, well, then I
conceded
don't
that. Move
acknowledge
forward.
it anymore." Yeah,
I
real
conceded
good,
that
dude.
so we can move forward with this. So back to this, the debate that you want to go ahead and obfuscate from. So here's the thing, though. So trans women are women because they identify as women, but women is now defined as self-identification. How does this not create tautology? Women are people who say they are women. Like, this is crazy. Can you
Yeah, it's not
any of this for me?
Yes, because the basis of it, the predicate of gender is an internal sense of your sex. And the internal sense of your sex is dictated by a combination of hormones. It can also be influenced by society, and it can also be influenced by how your brain forms at an embryonic stage.
So
Do you understand?
I hear this right now, but to me, it just fails to meet the requisite as far as like woman, because my definition,
But it's not tautological.
that is tautological. It is.
Where's
Because
the
you're talking about
tautology? Why don't you
self-ID.
explain to me, considering that the basis of it is on the basis of
This is
hormones?
late.
Go ahead.
This is late, but I just wanted to ask you a question, because I don't want to speak past you this whole fucking debate, even though there's no time left on the clock.
You've been doing that this whole debate.
What's your definition of woman?
Do you mean by gender or sex?
Well, let me have both of them.
Okay, sex is typically XX chromosomes that results in secondary phenotypic characteristics such as fat placement around the chest and hips and avoidance around the belly, albeit it can still be pronounced around the belly, receded brow ridge, and more diamond-shaped chin. That's for sex, typically XX chromosomes. However, you can have XY chromosomes with an androgen insensitivity syndrome, and there's a numerous other endocrinological differences that result in that specific sex. By gender, it's an internal sense of female.
So
The
one's
predicate.
a belief system, one is biology.
No. The gender is predicated off of hormones and internal body chemistry, also with the formation of the brain at an embryological level. So it is not feelings; it is exhibited in the biology itself.
So, okay. I hear you what you're saying, right? Has there ever been, and I want an honest answer about this, just on this, because I don't want to speak past you and I don't want you speaking past me. Has there ever been a reaffirming surgery that changed somebody on the cellular level, and has this ever existed?
No.
Okay. So I don't know what to make of this right now, because right now,
I'm referring to an internal sense of your sex. We're not referring to
You mean a belief
the sex
system?
itself. No, because it's based in
so this isn't a
biology.
belief?
No.
Oh, so none of this, I'm glad you just conceded that. So that's not a belief system at all.
Correct.
Okay. So these people don't believe that they are the thing. Their bodies are making them think that they're the thing.
No, you're conflating what a person feels internally to what I think it is. So what I think it is this whole thing is predicated under a basis of hormones and our discovery and understanding of hormones, as well as how the brain forms at an embryological level. We have, for example, exhibited third genders across different cultures. For example, you can look up Indian hijras have existed for thousands of years, having been considered effectively a third gender. And even to this day are now effectively referred to as a member of the transgender community, because it's this understanding that not everybody matches perfectly in the male-female spectrum. There's something that happens internally, which we've been able to determine chemically how that mechanism arrives, and been able to exhibit different striations in the brain, which result in somebody feeling that way.
All righty. So that's going to be the wrap up for the hour open floor. We're going to get into the 5-minute closing statements for each side. Again, want to thank both the debaters for coming. Guys, if you want to find the debaters, they're both in the description of this live here. So go ahead and find them there. Go give them a sub. Show them support for coming out. With the closing statements, like I said, I like to have always have one person have the first word and the other have the last. So for the opening statements, First Amendment is going to go first again, and that'll give Martae the last word. So First Amendment, whenever you're ready for your closing statement, I will start up your 5-minute timer with your voice.
Okay. Well, the argument for regarding trans individuals, I believe, has a very empirical basis behind it. And the fact that we can observe multiple fields of study able to acknowledge the existence of trans people, and not soft sciences, but literal hard sciences, where if you're referring to somebody needing a different type of hormone profile among endocrinologists, to different striations in the brain, which result in atypical behavioral characteristics as well as internal feelings that can be exhibited, to psychologically speaking, where, simply asking them questions if they are trained regarding transgender research would be able to show instances, for example, trans individuals possessing gender dysphoria versus not gender dysphoria. And yes, there do exist trans people who do not have gender dysphoria. Being trans in and of itself is not a mental disorder. I'm glad my opponent did not say that, thankfully. By acknowledging it, and honestly, like I plead to just about anybody who is like on the right to really consider, pick up any endocrinological book regarding gender or neurobiology or any of these other hard sciences. You don't even have to pick psychology or sociology or any of those. The existence of trans people can be exhibited across those fields of study. So ask yourself this. The only people that are pushing back against this is often right-wing talk shows that don't actually have any knowledge on these particular fields of study. So ask yourself this: could I be wrong? Think about that. Considering that you're talking about all these fields of study, 5 separate ones. I think there's 6 or 7 actually. And all of the scientists come to this same conclusion of the existence of trans people and gender being different from sex. Could you be wrong? We've been fed all sorts of anti-trans propaganda from the right, from podcasts, from politicians, from pretty much anybody who's not qualified to discuss this subject, saying that trans people don't exist, even conflating things like gender and sex together. For example, I think Donald Trump himself said that there's only 2 genders. I don't really understand what he exactly meant by that. I assume what he meant by that was by sex, but again, like, he was too stupid to really understand what was even going on. And if you just pick up the studies on what is being studied here, right? And it doesn't even, I mean, you could look at Australian studies, New Zealand studies, you could look at, heck, there was that one Sweden study that a lot of right-wingers like to look at that was like saying that we shouldn't affirm trans people, but there have been numerous rebuttals on that, right? Pick up a book, like seriously, just read a book on this subject. Don't just listen to podcasts. I understand that this, gets people all riled up and really excited and wanting to say there's only man and woman. There's it's only Adam and Eve. There can't be, but we've discovered, intersex people. We've discovered hormonal differences that are atypical of male and female exhibiting itself in the brain. We've discovered these things. All you have to do is just acknowledge it. And with that, I cede my conclusion. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. And with that, we'll give the mic over to Martae for your 5-minute closing statement. And a reminder for the chat, we're going to do a 30-minute Q&A after this, so get your questions in. We've already received quite a bit of Super Chat, so if you want to make sure you get your question read, send it through Super Chat. And after the Q&A, it's optional for both the debaters, but we will be opening up the panel for people to come up and discuss the topic at hand. All right. But with that, I'll give you the mic, Martae. Whenever you're ready, I will start the timer up with your voice.
So this is very funny. He brings up Donald Trump bringing up 2 sexes. When we look at intersex people, they said they were one sex. Nobody said he's an in-betweener. Doesn't exist, hasn't happened. And if he talks about chimeras or anything like this is what, 10 people on Earth, and it's like, even then, it's very skeptical. Like, so I don't get the fact that he had zero argument to a debate. To me, this doesn't really make any sense. So when I brought up things like, the doppelganger paradox, and here's the thing though, if trans women are indistinguishable from women, why disclose trans status, right? Because of safety, he says, but non-disclosure leads to deceptive accusations now. So this requires special treatment with trans women while insisting on identical treatment. Just women, So this doesn't make any sense. When I brought that up, he was never able to reconcile that, bringing in just, I don't know, and that's it. So even when we bring up things, even if I conceded in this debate or when I conceded during this debate, just to move past this and brought up must studies, which he references college stuff, and these are just indoctrination places, and then discounts podcasts where experts in the field show up on podcasts, all this other stuff, and then alludes to Martae. All you watch is podcasts. So right now, like, this is just ridiculous. He's just pointing out to things that he can't even prove himself or even show anything that's a justification for why he could even say this from just what I present on YouTube. That's it. That's pretty much how this debate went. Is just, I feel this, I think this, that's it. Not like, let me show you this, because when he did show me something and I said, where in 2025 does this happen? Proceeds to show me some data, which I accept. I'd be like, okay, cool. Never saw a date. Then during this, he says, oh, it was from 2025. Then later on, if you can rewind the tape, says, oh, there was no date. So, and then proceeds to tell me, oh, they're not lying if you were to go ahead and affirm somebody's gender. And it's like, well, no, I reject that notion to say that they're separate as far as gender and sex. I've continued to reject this. So also he failed this as well too when I asked him, how am I not sinning? Well, to me, that's a sin. So I guess I'm just continuing not to sin because he tells me, be nice. And then that's it. To me, this wasn't even a real debate. This guy got stomped and was disrespectful showing up 30 minutes late to a debate where obviously he was unprepared for this because the studies that he brought up didn't even answer the question. Because to me, it's like, I mean, you can go ahead and say, well, there's parts of it answered. No, but not all of it. So that's it. I didn't even get a solid answer from this guy. To me, I just had answers from questions I never even asked, right? So when I brought up, how do you make a thing look more like a thing? He then brought up women's breasts. But then when we dived into this, it's like, no, you can't show the intention, which is hard to prove in the debate. There's no demonstration of intention here, right? So even if I can even go down this road, no, he didn't want to do this. He just wanted to go back to mistakes, right? So to me, a lot of this is unreliable on his end because he tells me I'm just a podcaster and I just look at podcasts, but the data that he shows doesn't even
go back to most
and I'm supposed to believe this shit from him? What a crock of horse shit that this guy even is allowed to debate. And that's the thing, though. He shows up after being defeated by Rachel Wilson, Andrew, Jake Rattlesnake, and then me. This is crazy. You must be a sadist showing up to take L's repeatedly. Maybe they form a W for you because that I can maybe believe. I'll even buy that for $1, not referencing RoboCop again. But that's the thing, though. Did RoboCop even try to go ahead and put parts on him to look more like a man? I don't know. That's another question for another day. You can't even fucking answer anything that I just asked. So you diverted the whole time and just called me a maggot and all this other stuff. To me, it just doesn't make any sense. So back to this. I'm going to end this on a final conclusion that you love. I'm not going to accept the ideology from mentally ill people. And this president, who is currently your president, Donald Trump, who is the commander-in-chief, who we all adore, and is your president, by the way. I'm going to reaffirm that. If we're going to reaffirm anything, let me show you objective reality. He is your president right now, and I can see my time and leave it at that. That's it.
All right. Thank you for that closing statement. And with that, we're going to get into the Q&A portion. And I always, take some notes down during the debate, and I always ask both sides a question before we do that. So I'll start with for Martae's side, the disagreeing side. If like the idea of gender is a social construct, what is the objective standard that you believe society needs to define woman?
I would say because my definition is that woman is a biological female that is associated with the sex that can give birth, right? So if we think about this, I'm not going to side with the belief that these genetic dead ends that have mentally ill, I would say, belief systems, I would not think that this is compatible with any of the belief, because we can see from objective reality, these women are generally associated with the assigned people that can have birth that we can even see. Even I can use the word assigned, because if you're an 80-year-old woman and you can't have birth, you're still associated with the sex and gender that can't have birth. So if it's incompatible by that, socially we can look at this as a metric for and to say, okay, that take this off the mat. That's all I'm going to say.
All right. And First Amendment, did you have anything you wanted to say to that?
I mean, he's like calling these people genetic dead ends. Number one, trans men can have babies still, and they do have babies, some of them. And there's also the fact that trans women will adopt children. These are not genetic dead ends. They can have more kids. It's okay. In fact, this has exhibited itself throughout the animal kingdom, where you can exhibit gay couples adopting abandoned children. That actually helps propagate the species.
So outsourcing.
It is also the fact. It is also the fact that, well, again, it doesn't even acknowledge trans men. And then the second problem is you're saying that the common trope that that trans people are just are mentally ill. That's actually not true. Gender dysphoria is separate from being trans in and of itself. Gender dysphoria is referring to the negative feeling that is associated of being the separate gender from sex. However, you can, for example, be trans. You can, for example, be transgender and not possess this negative feeling.
You can think you're a plane, and I can think I'm a gorilla if I put a gorilla suit on and be happy about that.
This has nothing to do. Yeah, there's no like endocrinological finding of planes or grills. Those aren't
gorilla.
Those aren't biological. Yeah, a gorilla. There's no allele frequency that allows you to be more gorilla-like. I'm sorry, it's just not. That's not how the genetics works. That's not how the endocrinology works or the biology works.
Even so, that goes to my point. But moving on.
However, it can be observed for trans individuals. These exhibits.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard of a mentally ill gorilla before, but I've heard of mentally ill people. But
there are mentally ill gorillas. We've exhibited those as well.
What? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, there are gorillas that have been taught the concept of death, who basically like end up having some level of neurosis as a result. Yeah.
I'm willing to move forward with this. This is crazy.
Yeah. All right.
Do more reading.
So, and then one for the pro side, for First Amendment side, if gender identity alone can define womanhood, how do we distinguish between gender identity and the biological sex, and like legal context or any of this, without like erasing a meaningful difference?
Yeah, I mean, the sex never changes, so it's not going away. All I'm doing is just adding on to it, saying, hey, yeah, also gender. Sex, you're just referring to it as sex, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, yes, also gender.
Okay. So you're not saying, maybe I got something wrong earlier. I thought you said that gender identity alone would make someone a woman. So that's what I was saying.
By gender.
Yeah, by gender. So like, how would
sex never changes. No trans person ever thinks that the sex changes, right? You're still XY or XX chromosomes. It never changes. There's no amount of surgery that's going to undo that. It's not going to undo, having large or small gametes, or, you can, however, change secondary sex characteristics such as breasts, fat placement, how the skin feels. These things can change, however. With hormone replacement therapy.
Well,
you're not. Dude, you fucking retard.
Mate, if I can interject right now,
Jesus
he just
Christ.
continued the whole debate 2 minutes into the debate by saying,
so just
women
FYI,
aren't trans.
It's 11:25, right?
Are exactly.
If I get, let me listen. I assumed that this is going to be. I assumed that this was going to be. A good faith discussion, and that this would be moderated.
You haven't been good faith the whole debate.
That it is not going to be that you're not going to be shitty towards me. If you're just going to be shitty,
let him get off what he's saying.
If you're just going to be shitty towards me, I'll be honest. I'm about 30 minutes past me going to bed. I have work in the morning.
Says the guy that's been insulting people all day.
Rage quit. So yeah.
Goodbye. Have a good day.
Rage quit.
Hey, I just want to let you know. Old mate, go fuck yourself. Original Vintage, go fuck yourself. Tariak, go fuck yourself. Go be a hateful piece of
I got a
garbage.
girlfriend, buddy. I don't fuck myself.
Have a good day. Bye.
Enjoy your dildos.
That was crazy.